So if you're like me, you have a problem with any horizontal surface becoming a shelf. And it happens really quickly. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is we're making a box to put all kinds of junk in to send to some unsuspecting Grassroots Motorsports magazine reader who is participating in the GRM New Year's game. I have a couple of legacy boxes that I'm going to be pulling some crap from. I'm going to gather up some other things from my ample supply of scrap and maybe even throw in some good stuff at the same time. Who knows? Box isn't big enough to get one of my magnesium Corvette wheels, and even if it was, I wouldn't give those away. But we're going to use plasma cutter, probably going to use belt bandsaw maybe. Definitely going to have some death wheel and some flap disc action. Already started with the plasma, and now I'm at the point where, like most days, I go, you know, it would be really cool if I was taping this whole thing. Ha! And now you know how old I am because I said taping instead of recording. Anyway, I'm going to set up the tripod and let's get at it. Oh, there's so much crap here. So anyway, plywood, yeah, good stuff. Definitely what you want when you're plasma cutting and welding. And now I have to take the long way around the car to get to a place where I can set up my tripod because I'm a knucklehead. Now, let's see. I suck at this game, but I hope to get better.
It was cold out in the garage while I was working on this project. I had fired up the propane torpedo heater there and had to keep turning it on, turning it off, depending on how much electrical load I had, because I got a crappy single 15 amp circuit because it's just a crappy 2-car garage. Anyway, cleaned up the previously cut edges. Sold scrap 14 gauge was used for other things, and then measured it all up. I made this big rectangle into 2 squares for the top and the bottom of the box. And then I'm a big fan. Had to get the ear protection and the dust mask here coming up so I could use a flap disc, knock the rough edge of the plasma off, and get a decent edge for welding.
Well, I guess at this point I could talk through the concept. The idea is you get a large flat rate box from the post office and you pile as much crap in it as you can. And over the years I've found that boxes get blown out like that, and then a bunch of your goodies fall out potentially, so who knows what winds up making it to your recipient. So in my case, I'm building an armored box, so I don't have to worry about that. That's why I'm cutting up all this 14 gauge plate. And so here's piece 1. It's going to be the bottom, and fits good enough. Don't have to worry about it. Basically just trying to keep the contents, which are crap, inside the box. And then it'll be a box that maybe the guy that gets it this year fills it up, sends it along, writes a little note inside, and this becomes maybe a fixture in the New Year's game, the GRM New Year's game, for a while to come. So anyway, now that I got the base in there, I'm gonna grab my tape measure. I don't know where I put it though, because I'm old and losing my mind. And I will measure the depth. Hey, there it is. Look at that. Measure the depth and figure out where I need to make the cuts for the side panels. And whoa, geez Louise, I suck at this game. It's because the camera's on a tripod. Alright, so it says 5.5. I'm gonna make it a little bit less than 5.5, so there's room for the lid. So I'm gonna go with 5 3/8. We'll call that good. And then, excuse me, for the width, it needs to be just a shade under 12 inches long. I don't even know if that's on the camera because my screen went off. Yeah, hey, look at that. A little under 12. We'll go with 11 7/8. which is about as accurate. An eighth is probably as accurate as you can get with the plasma cutter. Good times.
So I'll get the heat turned on again, get my workspace cleared off a little bit, have a sip of delicious, refreshing Canada Dry Diet Ginger Ale, and then, now that I got my dimensions, I just lay it all out with my T-square, figure out which direction I need to cut, which edge is going to give me the most efficient use of the material. 5 3/8 high, 11 7/8 long, and I need 4 of those. So
okay, so the purpose of the double lines, the first line is my cut line. The second line is where I'm going to set my wood guide to guide the plasma cutter so that it follows that line. It's about a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go 5 3/8 tall and just a shade under 12 inches long. And I'll have to check the distance to the second set of lines after I make the first cut this way. But I think it's going to work out all right.
I set my guide piece in place and make the first cut with the plasma. Check, make sure that my guide hasn't moved, because I only have it clamped in one place because it's shorter than the workpiece. Everything looks good, so made the one lengthwise cut. Now I'll make the shortcuts to separate the individual rectangles. That one's a little hung up. Had to take another cut at the end. Got it all done. Check the cut piece with the marks on the workpiece. Go ahead and cut that off.
Okay, so off camera, I evened up all the side pieces after I got them cut. I had to use a bandsaw. So probably a Harbor Freight piece that I got $100 used, maybe 75, I don't know. It was cheap anyway. And it was what I needed at the time, so it's all good. And it still works, and that's even more all good. So anyway, got them all evened up. Two, I left a little bit longer than the others. So what'll happen is I'll put the two shorter ones on opposite sides, and then I'll inset them a little bit from the edge, or from this edge and this edge, right? And then the longer pieces will go outside them on both sides. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to go back to time lapse, and I'm going to use those sweet right angle magnets there to get everything set up, and then I'll tack it together. Cool.
Okay, so now I grab my kneeling pads to get the sides set up to the base. Look over and realize I've got a stool that I can sit on. Don't have to kneel on my 57-year-old knees. So I use my 4590 little sheet metal Holden magnets. Get everything squared up. And once I'm happy with the fit, center the short sides on the base, and then get the MIG turned on, get the gas valve opened up, make some little tiny tacks at each of the edges just to hold things in place. Then I can check them with a square, make sure that things are perpendicular where they're supposed to be, and then I can get the other side pieces fit up, held in place with the magnets. Once I'm happy with the fit, go ahead and throw a couple more little tacks on the bottom edges and the top corners as well. And once I got that done, and I'm satisfied that I'm not going to have to take it apart, then I can go ahead and make some little bit bigger tacks at the bottom corners, get the two sides and the base tied together, and then go along and do some tacks at the midpoints on each one of the seams, and then
So I got everything tacked together, and base and the 4 sides. And now I'm adding these little triangular gussets to the upper corners, and the purpose is to keep the lid from falling in. The lid is cut a little bit smaller, square, so that it would nest down and make sure that it all packaged inside the post office box. So the first little gusset that I put in the corner, I'm not a huge fan because I put the tacks on the top side, and that's kind of dumb. So over here you can see I'm using a little rectangular magnet that's a little thicker than the material that I'm making the box out of, and use that to hold the tab in the corner from above, and then I can reach in with the MIG and throw the tacks on the bottom side, and that way the lid will sit flush. Cool. So I got the last tab held in place with the magnet. Now I'm gonna tack it. Squint. Done. All right, well, got my edges tacked together as much as they need to be. Got little gussets put in the corners to support the lid so the lid doesn't fall down in. Got all 4 corners, boom. And got everything deburred. Actually, it kind of worked out okay that I did tack those 2, or that 1 gusset from the outside, because that gives me a way to genderize the lid so that it only goes one way. And that way would be like that. Boom. And there you have it. My armored box from a Grassroots Motorsports Magazine New Year's game junk exchange. Kind of a secret Santa for after Christmas. There you go. Now, I guess one thing I should do is make sure that it actually fits in the large flat rate box. So let me set up the tripod and check that out. All right, well, I still need to put a tab of some kind on the top. For now, I can open it with a magnet. Hooray. It's actually kind of sweet, I think. Anyway, to make sure that it fits inside the large flat rate box. Look at that. Like it was made for it. And then the lid, boom. Everything folds down nice, super protected. Anything I put inside will be almost undamageable by the postal service, but I won't say it out loud because I wouldn't want them to take it as a challenge. That's it.